What exactly 365 Dubai? How is it different from maybe other programs?
I don't sell a 10-week challenge. I sell a 365-day transformation because what we're selling is a lifestyle. It's not easy to keep a client because there is so much going on out there. Other trainers trying to kind of don't do it this way, do it my way. People making up stuff that we know is not even actually legitimate. Clients asking me, I saw this, should I do this? I saw that, should I do that? But maybe it works better. We're telling you what's right for you. Focus on us. But I think if you have a community approach, it makes it a lot easier.
I always believe bypass to growth would be how can I impact humanity in a better way?
Welcome to the Odds Fitness podcast, where science, performance, and longevity come together. Today, we are bringing you a conversation around transformation as a lifestyle, mindset, and daily discipline. Our guest for this episode is Mr. Jason Grima. He's the founder of Team 365 Dubai and a respected strength and conditioning coach, known for building one of the region's most powerful fitness communities. With over a decade of experience, Jason's philosophy goes beyond training, focusing on habit formation, mindset, accountability, and living a holistic lifestyle that drives lasting physical and mental transformation. Joining him, Mr. Asad Hussain. He's the founder and CEO of Odds Fitness. As an exercise and sports scientist, Asad is pioneering quantified health and performance in India, bridging physiology, psychology, and lifestyle to elevate long-term health and movement quality and performance. This episode explores what it truly means to live 365, showing up daily, building discipline, and creating sustainable transformation that lasts beyond the gym.
Welcome to the Odds Fitness podcast. I'm Asad Hussain, the founder and CEO of Odds Fitness. Today we have Jason Grima. He's from Australia originally, but we are sitting here in Dubai. He's got this great company here called Dubai 365. He's the founder of it. And essentially what I really respect about Jason here is that, you've got all these tech gadgets and everything that can complicate situations sometimes, and he keeps it real. He keeps it really simple. And what he tries to do is he works on simple facts like accountability, consistency. I saw that he just doesn't think of motivation as that one opportunity to lose fat or get into shape, that once in a year kind of opportunity, but he looks at the broader perspective of it. How do you work out 365 days in a year? How do you stick to your nutrition? How do you stick to your practices? Building habits consistently. And, because I was going through all of that, that just resonated with the self-determination theory, where you identify yourself as a health and fitness practitioner. You identify yourself as a exercise lover or somebody who is in love with their physique and their bodies. It becomes a part of that identity, and he does a great job at it, right? So welcome to the Odds Fitness podcast.
Hey, thank you. That was a great introduction. Summarized me perfectly, I think. That was very nice. Thank you. But yeah, thanks for having me on.
Yeah. So Jason, could you tell us what inspired you essentially to be a part of something related to fitness, and what got you started?
So I think where it all began is I'm from Brisbane in Australia, as Asad mentioned, and basically it's a very active country. I think it's very health and fitness orientated. We spent a lot of my childhood growing up outdoors. It's very common to be pushed towards like your sporting route as a kid. Everyone plays sport, everyone's active. I naturally gravitated to soccer, football, whatever you prefer.
Yeah.
And I spent a lot of time playing semi-professional football for the first 16 years. In that space, I was gravitated into more leadership roles, where I was captains of different teams, so on and so forth, year after year. And by default, you then become somebody who's trying to get the best out of people, whether it be mentally, physically, sometimes even in trainings, trying to say to even though I wasn't running the sessions, you kind of by default are like an assistant coach. You're with the coach kind of saying, yeah, guys, come on, focus. Let's keep moving, guys, a bit faster. Trying to be that. It's almost like you become like a forced personal trainer in that space without really realizing. Obviously love doing that. I wasn't the biggest academic. And, of course, like for me, I was trying to play with my strengths at the time. And I started to realize that health and fitness was the direction that I really enjoyed. I was helping my maths teacher do push-ups. It was kind of like we were just well out of the academic side and straight into the physical. I became that guy. It's like, oh, Jace, ask Jace about the push-ups. Ask Jace about that program. Then I think it was people were starting to come to me and say, hey, can you check my program? Or I'd be the kid eating tuna for lunch at school. And, I was very focused around gym and training and fitness. And by default, I was put into a position where I was just kind of, I guess, helping others find their fitness. and what that looked like for them. And I said, well, let's do a course and let's get educated. And I went down that road and I haven't looked back since. I kind of went straight from high school straight into the fitness world. I've been through so many different areas. I started as a sales consultant. I'm telling you why this is important, because I actually experienced people on every level. So I've been a sales consultant in a gym and you run a gym, so you know what these areas are like.
So Odds is not a gym; it's all
Like
home
a
delivered
program.
services.
Okay, yeah, but it's like a service program.
Correct.
Yeah, so you guys will still have like a sales team
Yeah.
and like a service based team
Yeah,
and everything. So basically what we'd have is I'd be doing the sales consulting, trying to get people into the space and understanding their problems. Then I went to front of houses reception, so just welcoming them into the space. And then I went into instructing just as a fitness instructor, where it was very like turn up, just coach everyone, keep the vibes happy. Then I moved into running my own coaching business. So all of those 4 little areas really allowed me to like understand somebody from like their first interaction, being at like first inquiry into fitness, then turning up every day, to rocking up to a class and energizing them, then to the coaching. So I'm very blessed to have gone through that road, and that's how I kind of got into this space where it was kind of just all of a sudden I'm here. And then I'm just in that space dealing with people, trying to get them moving. So it's hard to, when I recount it, it's kind of like, yeah, everything happens for a reason.
Yeah, so most of like life happened for you so that you could be here and impact people's lives, so different perspectives, what people's lives can be, whether they're in sales or what salespeople could think like.
Yes.
And therefore you're able to think like them and look at their problems and address those.
Yeah, we both understand the importance of that, don't we? Because I think for us, it's about trying to relate to the different characters.
Correct.
Because like, I think the hardest thing is to have a one cookie cutter approach to one type of person, right?
No way.
It's about like going, okay, this person's different. How can I relate to them, and how can we get the best out of them? And that could be totally opposite to the next person.
Yeah.
And it can be tricky trying to juggle that.
Yeah, 100%. So tell me a little more about 365 Dubai. What exactly is it? Is it a program? And how is it different from maybe other programs?
So we are essentially, it's a philosophy or a lifestyle, I like to call it, which has evolved through programming and now into 2 locations. So in September, we opened our 2 standalone facilities, one in Al Quoz, one in Media City, keeping me very busy. But what we are is lifestyle and body transformation specialists. So at its root, we will get you into your best physical shape, which we try to do in your first 10 weeks with us. And we have a program called the Cover Model Challenge, where it's basically a before and after transformation in a 10-week period.
Okay.
Now, that's the easy part. The most important part for us is what happens from week 10 onwards until you reach week 52, which is your year journey with us, is how can we sustain those amazing results and allow you to learn to live, 1, in your new body, but 2, in the new routines that you've developed. So far too often have I had conversations with people who said, hey, I've spent X amount on personal training, I've done X amount of programs, but now I'm here speaking to you because it's all gone, or I've lost it, or I was never actually taught how to train.
Right.
So for me, I was like, look, we need to change this. Let's get I still love a 10-week transformation. I still think it's so important, but then how do we support that person up until week 52, 365 days? And I'm confident, and I've seen this happen time and time again, when someone lives, and you and I live this, but when you've been exercising for 365 days, it's very hard to lose like the love that you've built and the rewards that you've received from doing that, and once it kind of becomes, it's like part of your
you just
character.
become that essentially, and then you identify yourself as somebody who does that as a practice.
Like if the fit person, people will say, like you'll become, even if it's not your profession. And let's say, and we'd probably worked with clients that it's not their profession. They've gone through training with us or our programming or education advice, and now their friends are actually not even coming to you or me, and they're going to them and saying, oh, tell me about your journey and how you did this. And they're saying, the best part is when you get to hear them tell them what they did.
Right.
And so I think that's at the root of what we do, is like, and how we stand ourselves out from the rest is like, we're more than just a 10-week program. We're more than just a fitness class.
Right. How would you, let's say, make that happen for somebody? Like, break me through that process. Like, okay, you get the initial motivation ridden on. Like, let's say somebody comes to you, says, I want to transform and I want to bring that change. So they're high on motivation, desperate for that change. And then they reach week 10.
Yes.
So what happens when they reach, like, let's say week 20, 25, gains are diminished, they stop seeing that consistent trend, that upward trend, and they say, go like, okay, you know what, I don't get that dopamine anymore.
Yes.
Out of the appearance of it. And then what are some strategies that you use in that case?
It's a good one. So it all starts with the initial conversations.
Right.
I don't sell a 10-week challenge. I sell a 365-day transformation. So for me, when we start, and I don't really sell, what I mean by that, it's just educate. And then like the selling does itself, because what we're selling is like a lifestyle. It's not like necessarily a product that's like I don't see myself as like a salesperson. I see myself as somebody who's just trying to help people, right? So when we go into that conversation, I'm like, guys, this is a 365-day protocol. We're going to break it into your first 10 weeks. And in the first 10 weeks, I break it into 2 weeks. So their first 2 weeks is the main focus. The biggest buy-in from someone, I believe, is in the first 14 days. That's where we put them through a fairly strict diet. We get them straight into training. There's a lot of education support in that first 14 days. We'll generally see some sort of result in that time, be it a couple of kilos from inflammation or water retention and sleeping better or whatever, the usual like quick wins.
Yeah.
Then from weeks 2 up until week 6 is where we start to get like our beginners gains or newbie gains, where people can build a little bit of muscle while they're dropping fat. There's a new stimulus to the body. It's all exciting. They're starting to feel tighter in their body. Their clothes look better and feel better. There's usually a sticky point around 8 weeks. People are starting to feel a little bit tired of the program. And so that's where I have to inject a little bit of that process going, guys, we've got 10 weeks, just, stick on it. This is where we'll use like before and after photos, videos of them training at the start to where they are now. I try to kind of almost switch to a bit of performance,
right,
in week 8 to be like, guys, look at our strength now.
Yeah.
Let's look at how fit we've got. Look how well we can execute this movement. Let's not look at the scale or this or that just yet.
Yeah.
That usually pushes us to 10, 12. And then that's where we usually do the before and after. A lot of people aren't ready to see themselves completely in week 10.
Right.
And I think that's our job as professionals in the game to say, like, in that first conversation, is it a 10-week journey or not? Because I say to you 10-week transformation, but we both know we've probably dealt with people now where we definitely can't give them what they want in 10 weeks.
Yeah.
You'd have that, right?
100%. And of course, you can get them the results, but if they don't stick on, then they go to another one and go like, I did this program with this guy and it didn't really stick for me. And it's not like, we didn't try. Sometimes it's just situational, and maybe they've just fallen off that. Something's happened, or, they're traveling, they come back and vacation weight or whatever it is. But, I think it's very important, like you said, to have expectations set from the very beginning 100%. That do not expect a magical transformation. Like, we want to work for 365 days.
Correct.
And that is when we can actually see the best, let's say, outcomes long term.
Correct. It's like our responsibility to be honest and genuine with that person. So we both have confidence in our abilities, right? So if I see someone, I'm telling them it's 10 weeks, we'll get you in 10 weeks. If I see someone and say, look, it's not 10 weeks, but this is what we can do in 10, right, and then phase 2 will begin after 10, which will look like X. For them, it's not about then having to remotivate them, because the expectations have already been set. Whereas if I was to essentially overset expectations, say, look, we can do X, Y, Z in 10 weeks, that's when then at 10 weeks, when they're not seeing it, I have to pull all the magical motivation cards out of the hat, which we know are like essentially very short term. They work with some people, they don't. We're dangling that carrot in front of them while they're trying to push towards the goals. And I feel like you set yourself up for kind of a really tricky time when we do this.
Yeah.
So, let's say we push past the 10-week phase. Let's give 2 quick examples. Person who's achieved their 10-week target, great. For them, usually we'll do like a small deload and then go through a reverse diet. Yeah. And that for most people is like an enjoyable phase. So I don't even need to do anything. Food comes up, we're lifting a bit heavier, we drop back the steps a little bit. They're like feeling like they can sustain training and their social life. We know the first 10, they're usually a bit less social. We're trying to cut back on alcohol, late nights, all the things that we need to be coming together to get like a quick result or a transformation, let's say. So usually that phase 2 is quite enjoyable. I think they're enjoying that process. And then generally after our reverse diet, I like to give them some sort of performance-based metric. Okay, great. Now we've lost 10 kilos. We've gained 2 kilos of muscle tissue. We've kept majority of the fat off. Maybe we've gone up 2-3 kilos just from a reverse diet. We're not, state, but we're just 2 or 3 kilos away. Maybe percent's up 5. You know, we got them to 10%. Now they're about 15, which is still a healthy weight percentage range. They can still see a few lines and shapes. Then I say, let's do some performance. Let's do a 5K. Let's do this high rocks, whatever you can see them itching at. I don't usually try to tell them what to do. I try and find it organically. It's like, what have you been wanting to do now? Now that you feel like this, what can you do? And that's kind of like your 3, 12-week, 90-day windows, which gets you actually pretty close, give or take a few deloads and holidays and travel, Diwali, Ramadan, etc., Christmas, blah, blah, blah. That kind of covers your calendar year. So before they really know it, they've gone through 3 phases, all with like a set purpose, and we're at 365 days.
Oh, wow.
Then it comes to January, typically, and we cut them again because it's that time of year. New year, new me. Let's do another like diet phase. And so I found that this process has actually worked really well. Where that can change is if the first 10 weeks aren't hit, which then can drag that out. And that's where it can be a little bit trickier to try to motivate someone potentially. Because let's not sugarcoat it. Not everyone nails the first 10 weeks.
Yeah.
You would have dealt with this a lot with your clients as well.
Because I think, of course, life happens to a lot of individuals.
Yes.
And when life does happen, you can have unexpected circumstances as well. Some people have learned helplessness. It's a psychological term where, they do come for help, but then they always try to, victimize their situations.
Okay.
And, that can be like, okay, you know what, this is not happening. You must have come across individuals like, my diet is spot on, everything is spot on, but that person's lying, right?
Yes.
And, there's various kinds of personalities that you're dealing with. So when you're able to see through where those loopholes are, then you should know essentially how to manage those individuals, create and foster good connections so that they feel safe.
Yes.
They don't feel that, you're trying to judge them. It's okay, if you had a late night cake and you're feeling depressed, it's fine. You can come and share it with me. I'll just help you, navigate that.
Yes.
For some individuals, they smoke weed and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And, if they'll come up and say that to somebody like us, you or me, they'll feel really judged.
Correct.
And so how do you, sort of foster that connection where they feel safe and then they confide and they feel that, they're not being judged at all. And then we can take it from there.
Yes.
So sometimes that's also really important, having that connection as a friend. But you come across as a real tough guy. Is that how you are as a coach?
I would say yes and no. Like I like clients to know that I don't really muck around.
Right.
I wasn't always that way.
Okay.
I'll be straight and honest. I was very gentle earlier on in my career. And what I quickly noticed is, one, people take you for a ride.
Right.
But there's two little things I'll mention. I started off in the CBD in Brisbane when I was 18, which is the busy corporate district of Brisbane.
Okay.
So in our gym, we were the platinum gym at Fitness First then, and I was running my own business within Fitness First. My clientele were CEOs, partners of firms, top-end executives. These were the type of people coming to our gym because this was their business district.
Right.
I was 18. So for me to sell myself, I had to very quickly put on a very strong, dominant, assertive hat, which took time to grow into. Initially, I definitely lost buy-ins from clients. They'd find out my age. They'd realize I was a bit hesitant on my abilities. Quickly, I learned that for me to get the best results out of somebody, it was generally levels of tough love.
Yeah.
Not being afraid to call them out. But then not to lose the empathetic side,
right,
where I could understand with their struggles. And what I ended up having happen is I'd get red collar executives, CEOs of big companies, actually nervous in front of me, because when they're in the gym, a lot of these people, men and women obviously alike, when they're not in their corporate gear and they're in their gym gear, it's a totally different personality than what I would feel going into their office.
Yeah, because that's your space.
It's my space. So quickly, once you start to show them that, guys, you're in my space now, I understand what you want. This is how we're going to do it, but I need this from you. You safeguard yourself, because I don't like being questioned as a good coach. And sometimes if you're soft and lenient with somebody, those questions start to come. Oh, he doesn't check my food. Oh, he's not checking in with me. I told him this, but he didn't really tell me off or anything. He wasn't, assertive in that. So since I kind of learned that for me to obviously become a reputable coach, but also most importantly, actually get results,
right,
which we know make you reputable in today's day and age. No blue ticks on Instagram. For me, I look at results, before and afters, testimonials, references from our clients, like which we both would have a lot of over the years of our experience. This is the most important thing. So I think, yes, tough love, time and place, but then being able to empathize with people. Too much tough love. What do you think? I found it, I lose people if it's like there's zero empathy.
I think empathy is part of coaching. Because you've been a leader as a soccer. My university guys are going to kill me for that.
Yeah, so we'll let it slide.
Football.
Yeah, you're with the Australian, it's fine.
So, for teams and everything, of course, I'm pretty sure you do have an empathetic side. Yeah. But yes, people should know that you mean business. And you also filter out a lot of crap. There's many people who might just come in and want to waste your time as well. Because if you're spending 20 minutes on someone, like if you have 10 guys, right? And if you have 20 minutes for each, and you have 200 minutes in total that you can allocate, do you want to spend it on a person who's not going to get the best out of you?
Yeah.
Right. And that's where you have to draw your managerial line. So I get exactly what you're saying. Sometimes it can get really, really cumbersome for a coach if they're just empathetic. I understand you couldn't make it and that happened, but it drains the coach out.
Yes.
So what essentially I think works is that, definitely have a strict structure about how you work. And I think most importantly, what I do to communicate tough love is that I let them know that this is how I am to myself as well.
Yeah, that's great.
So it's not like I'm just like this with you. Those are the excellent standards that I have for myself.
Amazing.
And I think I see a lot more capacity in you, and I think you can do it.
Yeah.
So just deal with the tough love, and I'm going to make this happen for you.
Yeah, that's a great point. I'm glad you said that. That's so important.
Yeah.
Because I find that there isn't enough trainers that walk the walk.
Yeah.
I still believe. I feel like too many talk the talk, not enough lead by example, not enough hold themselves with the same standards that they hold their clients to, and enough don't show us the real, their real journey.
Yeah.
Sometimes social media allows a lot of people to show what they want them to see, and for a lot of clients, it can totally break somebody when they're constantly being put next to this level of perfection, which is what coaches can portray.
Right.
So I think the importance of us saying, hey, this is my downtimes. This is how I've managed it. I wasn't feeling it today, but this is how I manage it. Today I was feeling it. Today I did expect this from myself. For us to show that, then we can demand it from them.
Yeah.
So I like that point. It's actually so important.
Yeah.
So important.
And because, you must have come across many individuals who might be trying to show that their situation is uniquely different from all the others that you've dealt with. But because you've dealt with all the professionals and all the CEOs and stuff, and you work hard as well. Yeah. There's one thing that people don't understand is that being a coach is also hard work. You got to work on your body. You got to figure life out for yourself. It's not like the most glamorous job, at least wasn't when we guys started, right?
Definitely.
And if we have made it this far, then of course it takes a lot of hard work, and you've got to see that aspect as well. So if you think you're busy, guys, trust me, this doesn't come without being where you think you uniquely are. So that perspective, and I think discipline. The other thing that we can, sort of do is find unique strengths in individuals. So, that you'd be surprised. There are many people who'll have a lot of strength. So let's say there's a kind lady, but she's low on self-esteem and she'll just go back to her cookie. I would personally go and speak to her and tell her that, you're so kind, and that's one of your strengths. And now what we can do is we can translate that kindness to your own health and body. And the next time when you're reaching out for something that might harm you in any way, look at your kind side and tell yourself that maybe you want to go easy on your health. And then they start to identify themselves as people who are kind, and then that sort of works. Because
that's a good, you phrase it for them.
Yeah, you just tell them that these are your strengths. This is exactly what's needed for this next journey of yours.
Yes.
Right. So what happens after 365 days?
Well, they just repeat really. Like, and I only say that because we've just got most members that join with us and make it to the 365-day mark are still with me. So,
Right.
I'm very, very grateful to have people with us for 3, 4, 5 years. I mean, we've been established
Wow,
since
touch wood.
2021.
Yeah.
Touch wood, everyone's healthy and strong. I think after that, the answer to your question properly is like, then it becomes the community. So what we've noticed now with the company and as it's grown and 365 is our members at 365-day mark have now made friends. Literally, I'm being invited to a client barbecue tonight of all people that met in the gym.
Right.
And this is the second Christmas party that they've all had together, and they're essentially all of my clients. This is a community now that's been built from training with me, and it would still run without me. I know that they've built such strong relationships in that space.
Wow.
Makes life easy for me when it comes to re-signing, like their membership renewals. I always joke saying I don't think it's for me at one point. Again, it's because they actually love coming to see their mates and their friends and people that are like empowering them on a more relatable level. Like,
That must feel great,
It
man,
is,
that
mate.
you created all of that.
Yeah, it is nice. Like it's not easy sometimes, like having the community expectations of everyone wants to kind of be doing things all the time. We try to do activities around the city. The way I make it more comfortable, I'm not the biggest social person. I think you're kind of forced to be in that role, but I think, I also happily will just kind of stay home
Yeah.
for 2 days off on a weekend and not see anybody very easily.
Yeah.
But what I've tried to do to make that space a little bit more like comfortable for me is I've thought, okay, what do people lack here that I had a lot of in Australia, which was being outdoors, spending time in nature, being active outside of just a gym. So
Yeah.
what we've started doing is I take them on hikes. We do a lot of water sports or like beach activities. We do a lot of I won't say run clubs, but we do like running based drills and sessions along the beach. And then we'll do stuff like as simple as like laser tag. We've done paddle tennis. We've done social sports. Desert picnics, just like anything to kind of get us out of the gym for a change. I still like to show people how easy it is to be active.
Yeah.
Like we did laser tag. I think we had people racking up 1,000 calories in an hour.
Wow.
You would never go, it's a waste of time. But one, it had us all feeling like 10 years younger, which was
Yeah.
nice.
Yeah.
Something we would never do. And the sweat rate in there is crazy. So it was just like, how can I just get people bonding over some sort of movement? And I think that's what ultimately keeps people after 365 days, because it's not easy to keep. You and I both know this. It's not easy to keep a client because there's so much out there. There's so much, as much as we try to say, hey, we're telling you what's right for you. Focus on us. We've got your interests, at hand. And we aside from being business, of course, we want to retain clients from a business perspective. It would be stupid for me to neglect that. So we're going to give our best to show them, hey, this is the space for you. There is so much going on out there. Other trainers trying to kind of say, oh no, don't do it this way, do it my way. People recreating the wheel, making up stuff that we know is not even actually legitimate. The
Yeah.
fads that come up
Yeah.
constantly. I have clients telling me, asking me, I saw this, should I do this?
Yeah.
I saw that, should I do that? So my friend's paying for this. It's triple the price of you, but maybe it works better. And so constantly we're trying to deflect all of these, sometimes shortcuts, sometimes shiny things, sometimes maybe things that are just different.
Yeah.
So it does, after 365 days, it's hard. And I think it's almost like the real work begins. But I think if you have a community approach,
Right.
it makes it a lot easier.
Right. Because they've bonded over that.
Yeah. How do you guys manage the community side when you're obviously doing a lot of sessions on more of a mobile presence?
Yeah.
How does that go for you? Because it can be a little more tricky then, because you're not having everyone converge into one space.
Yeah. So all our trainers are essentially trained how to be caregivers.
Yeah.
Right. And those bonds are which, that we sort of look at. So it's like apples and a salad, maybe, it's completely different. So in a gym setting, people like to bond. They come there. I know a couple of gyms where people have been coming since decades. They were they entered in their teens and they're there till their 30s, right? But for us, because everything is home delivered, it's the ecosystem that, we work on. So, you got physiotherapists, you got trainers, you got doctors, you have recovery specialists, you have all those guys looking after the client in such a way that the client knows that, I don't need to worry about anything. Even the nutritionist, these guys have got me covered. If I have an illness, it'll be recorded. They'll automatically make a video call with the doctor. unless they have a better alternative for that. If it's a long-term illness, they'll probably have best practices, like somebody like who's on the podcast talking about motivation and all these things. And if we need somebody here in Dubai who needs that kind of motivation, we know you're the guy to go to. So as an ecosystem, we just thrive on the kind of connections we make with the clients, and also with excellent practitioners and experts such as you, so that if a client needs like a community, we know exactly where to send them. If they need that outside exposure, we know, okay, you know what, he's the guy to go to. He's going to fix you up. And then maybe when you come back into a home setting, you'll identify yourself with, you being a strength training person, or even if you don't want to go out there because it's far. Sometimes these locations can be far off, so mix and match. Twice a week you can go there, twice a week you can train at home. So it works.
I like it. While you're telling me that, I'm thinking also too, what you guys have done really well is not everyone wants to be around loads of people.
Yeah.
Because I actually even have my private clients are very much like, hey, I just want to come in, kind of see you 10 till 11. It's a little off peak.
Yeah.
And they, maybe they're busy people, or they're slightly more introverted, or they feel they have their comfort barrier that they like to keep within.
Yeah.
Nothing wrong with that either. So I think what you guys also appeal to definitely would be the people, that want to just have their private session.
Yeah.
They bond with the trainer, like you're saying.
Yeah.
And they get the job done. They stay fit and healthy, and then maybe their social space is somewhere else.
Yeah.
So that's also important.
Yeah. Sometimes they just into their own families. A lot of these high net worth people,
Yes.
they don't like getting out that
100%,
much.
yeah.
And, they just want to be involved within their families and everything.
Yes.
There are also a lot of geriatric population, individuals who don't want to be bodybuilders, so to speak. So they don't know how to have themselves integrate their workouts with a mainstream fitness module, like bench presses and stuff.
No, it's not really relevant, is it?
Yeah, for them it's mostly about getting off from the ground and everything. So we sort of have a different audience altogether, so to speak.
Yeah, so it's important that between the likes of you and myself that we're covering everybody.
Yeah.
Because everyone should have access to this,
Yes.
to fitness and to training and to the right stimulation and motivation. So
100%.
It's a good one.
100%. So what seems to be the future of Dubai 365? Do you have plans?
We have lots of plans. It's for me, it's a lot about just kind of trying to focus on what we have now. So as I mentioned before, we've opened 2 facilities in September. We've got one main hub location in Al Quoz. It's a standalone building. We've partnered with the team at Alpha Club MMA. So the guys specialize in martial arts, BJJ, boxing, with fighters moving into the UFC and the PFL and professional levels of martial arts. So it's amazing. We've got that side of the gym that's really specializing in that, and some elite level coaches there who are also still competing in the sport. So we've got the height of martial arts. And then on my side of the gym, we kind of do more strength and conditioning, a bit of more general populations. New things to me, though, we've been managing is our Pilates. So we've also got a Pilates studio at the front now. So that's kind of a new leg to the business that I'm still trying to, we're trying to understand. And, I believe in the importance of Pilates. I think it's an amazing for men and women alike to get involved in. So we've got that there. We've got the recovery room. So again, trying to dabble in the recovery aspect. And then it's even to the point where I was stocking the cafe the other day. So it's like, when you say, what are our plans? I think for now it's trying to get control of the spaces that we're very lucky to have. And we've worked very hard to kind of get into a position where we can have this space. And now it's how can we optimize the comfort level of our clients? Obviously from a business perspective, keep ourselves in a position that we can keep offering the services and then eventually expand. Don't get me wrong. Every day I wake up with a different idea. I would love to we have a very, very large demographic of Indian clients.
Yeah.
I train Pretty Malik of Virgin Radio. So she's one of my best friends and she's been with us now. She's actually she is our only official ambassador, 365 athlete, we call her.
Oh,
so
wow.
You're very lucky to have her on. So she's been with me for so many years now. And so for me, I always toy the idea of maybe coming to visit you guys over your side of town or I know, even I was having conversations not long ago about, there's just different parts of the world, especially because of something like High Rocks, where people are starting to really look at gyms and fitness as now kind of being a transferable skill set that people are going on holiday, doing a High Rocks, joining a local gym, training for 2-3 weeks, and then coming back to their next place. And then they're going to this place and that place. So I'm always thinking, how can we get more people globally
Yeah.
involved with the brand. So you've done great to be able to step from India
Yeah.
and then into Dubai. How did you find that transition, and what can I learn from you?
I think it's very important to understand the local culture and the ecosystem as to be and the problems essentially. So I think if you want to go global, you definitely want to identify what do you think is the problem statement over there. Like I definitely know for Delhi, and now it's happening for Dubai, that transitioning transport is becoming a problem for a lot of people.
Okay.
And
So what does that mean?
that means that a lot of people find it daunting to travel. So you go anywhere close to the Dubai Mall right now, it's mad.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. So Dubai is having a little bit of that issue. So can I solve a problem for someone at their home?
Correct.
Okay, and then maybe what you could do is, because you run a community-driven structure, maybe understand what is it that you can do locally for that particular community, and what is it that they thrive on. What are their habits? What could you change or tweak for that particular culture, and while being sensitive to their ecological system. So let's say if there's people who eat beef here, maybe having a steak is fine because you up your protein like that. How can you do that for a different community in India? Like let's say somebody is a Marwari or a Jain.
Yes.
They've never had meat all their life. The only protein that they've probably had is from paneer, which is a kind of cheese.
Yes.
And most of them don't even have salads because, to be very honest, in India, you don't have great quality of salads and leaves and all of that. And if you do have a salad in Delhi sometimes or in Bombay, during the rainy season, you're probably going to get a Delhi belly or something like that. So can you factor in the millets,
It's
which
very
is,
hard, isn't it?
so just spending time there, understanding what it is. And then most importantly, I think it's important to understand markets. The reason why we want our presence in Dubai is because Dubai is also, like let's say a personal training session in Delhi would be $3,000, which is INR. The same would be probably double. So like 300, 350, people go all the way up to 600 dirhams, which if you translate to that, it's close to about 7,000, 8,000, more than twice actually.
Yeah, it's incredible.
So if you look at company revenues that way, like from a business perspective, then dollars are dollars.
Yes.
Now, where do you want to make those dollars? And can you make up for that in terms of numbers? That's where, maybe you would want to think about like, okay, this is what I identify this way, then this is what drives me. Correct. So I would say more than anything, you should just look at what your inner motivation is. Yeah. Because throughout my journey, I've understood everybody wants to rule the world.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, that's true.
And are we actually trying to rule the world, or are we just trying to put our perspectives out there so that maximum people can benefit out of it? And if you think the other way, if you think like that, I just want my idea about health to be, expressed into as many places as it can, I think that will answer your question as to how you can maybe, of the million ideas that you have, which one to go with.
Yeah, it's good advice.
Yeah.
I definitely think it has to come from that kind of place.
Yes, because I've seen a lot of people, they're always chasing like, okay, you know what, where can I make the next big buck? Everybody's doing that. So if you're thinking like that, how can you actually, compete with individuals who are, and, we all think that we are very unique in many ways, but, in the last 2 days, you and I saw that there's so many great individuals and they all have brilliant ideas.
Yes.
So the only bypass to growth would be, how can I impact humanity in a better way?
Yes.
And, I was in the UK last year and I spoke about longevity. They don't have that problem, So if my business were to be in the UK or in a Nordic country, it won't even make sense, right? They're great with longevity already, but they don't have that as a problem. Whereas for Dubai, I think, and the Middle East in general, and Southeast Asia, I think it's a great problem to solve.
Correct.
I think you're doing
They're looking for the answers, aren't they?
Yeah, and I think you're doing a fantastic job. You're decluttering all the, all the complicated stuff, and you're like, just get to it. I want to see you grind and live your best lives. I think you'll be impacting a lot more lives because, people have their own math to figure out. They're looking at balance sheets and stuff. Now you give them this data to look at. it can get
Of
complicated.
course it can. Yeah, trying to keep it simple. That's the most important thing.
Yeah, yeah. So, okay, so you've got this program. So, how many trainers do you have, and how does one join this?
Cool. So basically we have at the moment, we just started with our 7th trainer. 7th?
Right.
Yes, plus me, 8, I guess you could say. We have a really great team of different nationalities. Was a big thing that I was really important on, that I really wanted to make sure we were stressing. Is we've got Bob, he's from India, UAE. We have Thais, Brazil.
Wow.
Rayhan, who's from Iran. Isel, who's Denmark, Venezuela. We have Gethin, who's from the UK. Sam's from the UK. Mateo from Colombia. So we have like a nice mix of, different nationalities. I'm obviously Australia, a bit of Lebanese in there too. So for me, it's just because Dubai is such a multicultural city, I felt there was importance in making sure we had people that could relate to so many different people. As much as I love working with a lot of my Indian clientele, a lot of them love working with Bob. Because he's able to actually understand their food. He eats the similar food to them. He knows what he needed to do to get in shape. So for a lot of people, they like to kind of relate to, not always, but sometimes like their country, men or women. And then obviously language sometimes help as well. So we try to cover the bases that way. The one thing I look for when it comes to coaches though, is obviously people that can attain results with people. That's the most important thing. And I think you would probably agree with me on this.
Yeah,
it's
100%.
like, one, I can essentially train anybody. What I mean by that is like, I love educating. So I can put the time into training a coach that has no real expertise, because this we know can be learned. There's something that they can learn, sorry. But for me, the most important thing is like having the passion to learn and the passion to actually care about helping somebody. Because I think nowadays there's so many people that go, oh, personal training makes a good quick buck. I'll just do my course. I like going to the gym. I'll just do my 3-week online training course here or there. And then I'll enter the world of health and fitness. Unfortunately, they won't last very long because it's a lot harder than it looks. And it's not all rainbows and sunshines, as you would have known earlier on when you started. How many years have you been doing this now?
20 years.
Okay, so you're almost double me to a degree. So you've seen it all, I'm sure. But the most important thing is like having that passion. So based on that, I think you and I would both have a lot more comfort in training people that have that, rather than what's happened in the past is, sometimes I've got someone who's got all the skills, not really in it, not really loving it. And then unfortunately, it's hard to get somebody results when you feel that way about it,
Yeah. So, you've got all these guys in Dubai who are doing real estate and training and, maybe something else. And I'm sure you'd agree that to outperform any other trainer in Dubai, they're great guys. Like, look at the teams that are here. Look at you, that's hard to beat, right? Like, Jack, walk the talk, tough. And you're very knowledgeable as well. And you must have impacted many lives, right? How does one outperform an individual like you who's already working so many days in a week with all the experiences? So, today morning I was talking to a friend of mine and she was like, I'm doing real estate and I'm doing dentistry and I'm also doing fitness. I'm like, you can't be doing all 3 things, okay? If you want to do real estate, understand that you want to make money, right? That's why you're going into real estate. It's not like you're passionate about selling homes to other individuals. If you're a fitness, if you're considering fitness. And if that's what you want to do, you make your buck in training individuals or dentistry, whatever you choose, and then you invest in real estate. That would make a lot more sense. And give somebody, and if you meet individuals who want to buy a house, just direct them to the real estate person. And in that regard, maybe they can offer you a commission or whatever it is. Make it simple for yourself. Don't try to do all things yourself. Like, you've built an excellent team. And let's say for Indians, you've got Bob, right? So you know that this is the guy who I can rely on for that. So I think in Dubai, what happens is they're just looking for different opportunities. And I think fitness trainer happens to be one of those opportunities. And they just get into it without actually having the love for coaching individuals. It might be maybe that, they have great bodies themselves, but that's very different from wanting to coach someone. Like, you got to be like, okay, are you eating your meals right? Did you get your sleep in? Showing that actual care and compassion for another individual. And you got to be that giving in nature for that to happen. Like, so just because you're good with your physique doesn't mean that you'll become a great fitness trainer.
100%.
So I think what you're saying is an excellent selection criteria. And I'm sure you have a great team. I'll come swing by.
Definitely would love to have you come down anytime. I think what you're saying on that point though, with the saturation of people in Dubai and how many great trainers there are, That being said, I always like to try and tell people out there who are wanting to come into the space that there is always enough clients to go around.
Yeah,
And
100%.
I think, you and I are essentially competitors, you could argue, but in no way, shape or form do I see you that way. I'm sure you don't see me that way either. I mean, you've invited me onto a podcast to talk about my business,
Yeah.
and we do the same, we do very similar things.
Yeah.
So, I think there is an abundance of people here that need help from genuine people like us.
Yeah.
I'm always welcoming of new people coming into the space, but I'm just trying to tell them that it just won't happen for free. And if you don't care about it, like we said, if
Yes.
you're trying to juggle 3 or 4 jobs just for the cash, personal training won't work. And I think the best thing I've had is actually helping elevate a lot of my friends' companies and personal training businesses. I've reshared another trainer's doing his one-to-one promo offer,
Yeah.
and I've just shared it on mine. Now I run the same business. Maybe my business partners might be not so happy about that, but for me, it was like, you know what? He offers like a unique service.
Yeah.
The people that will appeal to me will come to me. The people that want his style will go to him.
Yeah.
And there's enough people for me and enough people for him.
Yeah.
So like, I don't see there should be any negative competition. The only time I ever get my hair up or my guard up is when somebody's selling bullshit, or they're not being genuine, or they're essentially wasting people's money and time.
Yeah.
And there are, unfortunately, a lot of trainers that do this as well.
Yeah,
They're trying to sell the dream. They don't live by the things they say. And you get a lot of untested individuals here preaching a certain lifestyle. Give or take, I've dabbled here and there in the past with different things, but my biggest win is I'm very transparent about it. Where you'll have people say, hey, I never touch this, I never do that, I only eat this. And then there's other things at play, and you're selling like the wrong information to your clients. And
Yeah.
for me, this is where I'll draw the line and kind of be the first one to probably call out those people. And I'll say, guys, like, this is enough. Like, for me, I'm quite vocal on that. But from somebody who's wanting to enter the space, there's always enough room.
Yeah.
There's always enough business. There's always enough people that need help.
And see, if I always believe if you're collaborative, and there's like, let's say 20 people who listen to you and 20 people who listen to me, and if they sort of interact with each other and they look at what we're talking about, that 20 is only going to become 80.
Yes, correct.
Because that's the net total impact of that version of living your life, right?
Much better.
And if you're able to do that, it's a win total in general. It's an industry that has to grow up,
Yes.
right? It's not a personal trainer. No matter how much a personal trainer, wants to impact society, that impact is not going to happen. Why is anybody anyway doing all of that for?
That's right.
It is to change society's health, right? Correct. So if you want to truly, truly do that, you will encourage individuals who are in this space.
That's right.
And unfortunately, it's like in India, there are some people who, they'll always fight with their neighbors, right? They'll always fight because they're competing with each other because it's visually right there in front of them. And we have people in back home, they're like, okay, you know what, Odds Fitness is a new brand, but they're doing so well. And, but you know what, that guy is just running on someone else's funds. This is just a new company. And out of jealousy, they'd want to just compare. Those are mostly insecurities. Yeah. Because if I'm just putting out the message somewhere that health is important, that person, let's say if I'm training a 30-year-old or a 40-year-old person, right? Their sons and daughters don't want to train at home. They want to go to gyms, right? And if they're saying that, okay, you know what, from tomorrow onwards, I want you guys going to the gym, enough of all this bullshit television that you're doing, they're going to send their kids to the gym. And then guess who makes money? The competitors,
Yes.
right? So it's, I think, a sum total impact on the industry that has to go up. And thereby, it's a win-win for all because the transaction is in terms of the value that we are giving, and people are willing to pay. Money, people are wealthier than ever. Like, this is the time in history where people have been making maximum amount of money. And I think a lot of wealth is out there. And some of that has to, of course, motivate individuals who are there in fitness so that they can educate themselves and they can also want to get into this space.
Yes,
Another reason why people would not want to become fitness trainers is because earlier the bar was really low. Like, you didn't need like a proper certificate and everything. But now, you can't have like bullshit around.
Yes.
So
The standard's high.
Yeah, very high. So that's really good stuff.
It's an important point.
Yeah. Cool. So I think we've covered most aspects of it. Do you have anything else that you want to?
It's been a great chat, mate. I appreciate it. Come down to the gym anytime.
Yes.
You're welcome to come down. I love the podcast game and being able to educate. So I appreciate you having me on. It's been very lovely. I've had a great time. But I think I enjoyed that conversation. It was great.
Wow. So that was Jason Grima, you guys. And I think, that's a really fresh take on how to manage motivation. To sum it all, you don't need to complicate it that much. Sometimes pure discipline, habits, motivation can maybe take a backseat. Just know that you got to turn up and do it anyway, like brushing your teeth, taking a bath, and just have those standard practices throughout so that you have the cumulative effects of fitness, not just 3-month effect. I think you'll be pleased to see yourselves, a decade later. At least I have. I'm very grateful because whenever I've been through a bout of illness, I've just recovered like that. Because the first thing that goes is your mobility, your strength, and all those things. So I think he has a great message to give here, and please try out his gyms here. Locations, please.
We are in Alcuz. We are in Media City. You can search at Team365 DXB on IG or myself, Jason Grima. Come on down.
Super.
Anyone who's listening to the podcast, I'd love to invite you down for a 1-week trial with us on the house. Thanks to the guys. So we appreciate that. So I'm happy to look after you if you come over. And if for home training, my audience, for you guys that are listening, where can they find you?
Odds Fitness.
Perfect.
So they can just look us up on Instagram or the website or anywhere, oddsfitness.com.
Lovely. Because again, it's a great point, just like what we said before, is to link between. Because now we don't do mobile.
Right.
So that, it's always a good way to collab.
Yeah.
Thank you, mate. I love it.
All right,
Thanks
man.
for having me.
Likewise. Thank you for coming, man.
Thank you.
Thank you.